at all times. It reminds me of 2 Chronicles 7 verse 14, which says, if my people who are called by my name can humble themselves and come before me and depart from their evil ways, I will hear their prayers from heaven, and I will come down and I will heal their land. And this is precisely what our country needs. With all the challenges that we are facing, we say this is the time when we should humble ourselves to the Lord so that he can look at us with kindness and heal the wounds that are here in our land. We come from a very bad history of oppression and racism, and that is a wound that continues to fester till today. The government that you elected in 1994 and that you have elected on successive elections has worked and has tried everything that it can. With the work of President Mandela, the work of President Mbeki, the work of President Zuma, the government that you elected and gave the responsibility to manage the affairs of the nation has tried the best that it can. Bayathanda noma abathandi, uhulumeni wenu uzamile ngayo yonke indlela ukulungisa izinto lapha eMzansi Afrika. Our government inherited a real mess. A very messy situation was inherited by our government. At the time when the democratic government came into office, it found that there were only 8 million people who were employed in the economy of South Africa. Today, there are 16 million people who are employed in our economy. So the employment has doubled from 8 million to 16 million. That is great success. The other important thing, when our democratic government got into office, many children were not going to school. Many children, if they went to school, were going to school on hungry stomachs. And the government decided to open the doors of learning. The doors of learning were opened. And with the doors of learning having been opened, it meant that more and more children could now go to school. Every year, there are 1 million children who go and register at our schools. Every year without fail. And every year we are getting about 450,000 young people who pass their matric. In the past, that never used to happen. Namhlanje, we are feeding 9 million children every day esikolweni. That is a phenomenal success. When we got into office, abantu abasebenzayo, working people, were treated like they were nothing. Bowuxoshwa nje emsebenzini. If you were not satisfied with the way you were treated at work, you would be fired on the spot and you had no recourse. That has all come to an end. Comrade Mildred Oliphant, the Minister of Labour, is the best Minister of Labour we have had because she is very strict on labor matters. She is a member of your church. You can be grateful. Uguti, this church, she was telling me, Uguti, she has been in this church since she was young. This church has molded her. It has prepared her for national service. And today she's serving our people in that very important department, your labor, looking after the interests of the working people in our country. Namhlanje, we are about to have a national minimum wage. The national minimum wage kungenxa yakhe ukuthi umholo wabantu ukhuphuke. Siyambonga uComrade Mildred. And unakekela nalabo abasebenza endaweni ezi-dangerous. Endaweni labalimala khona abantu. She is forever talking about safety in the workplace. In the past, bowuthi nje bawulimala nje emsebenzini bekuyindaba yakho. But she has made sure ukuthi we have laws that are going to protect the working people of our country. Masimshayeleni izandla ngemsebenzi emihle ayenzayo. Uhulumeni wethu went on wenza sure ukuthi abantwana bethu bakwazi ukungena ema-university. When we got into office, there were like 400,000 abantwana abangena kuma-university kakhulu abelungu. 400,000. Namhlanje, there are almost 1 million young people who go to our universities and our TVET colleges. That is phenomenal success. Kodwa okubaluleke nokudlula lapho today ukuthi after the proposal, the demand, the request that young people put forward, bathi i-Freedom Charter ite there shall be free education in South Africa. Bayisho kahle ingane zasesikolweni nasekuma-university bathi sifuna uhulumeni wethu to give us free education because we come from poor families, we come from working class families, our parents cannot afford, but we do want to go to university. And they said, give us free education. Now we have introduced free education for children from poor families and working class families. Free education, bangene esikolweni with freedom. So those are some of the things that our government has been doing. It inherited a real terrible situation. And I'm saying this so that when we look at our current challenges, we must look at them against the backdrop of where we have come from. When we look at some of the real problems that we are facing, we must look at them and say, where do we come from and where do we want to go? When it comes to housing, there is no government on this continent that has, in the last 25 years, built 4 million houses and given them free for the people of our country. No other government has done so. 4 million yezindlu. A few years ago, abantu abaningi bethu bebeshona bebulawa yilesifo sengculaza. HIV had really set in amongst our people. We were burying people every weekend, and we all know what we went through. The government sat back and said, what do we do? As a government, we are supposed to be on the side of the people. We are supposed to protect our people. We had a government in the past that did not care for the people of South Africa, that only cared for a few people in South Africa who made up just 10%. And this government said, we have to be there to defend the people of our country, to advance their interests, and to make sure that we give them a better life. The government said, we are now going to start a program through which we are going to roll out antiretrovirals, because it had been shown that HIV/AIDS is not a death sentence. It is not a death sentence, it is a virus. The virus can be contained, it can be controlled, and the government said we will go out and buy these antiretrovirals so that we can give life to our people. And indeed, it went out. And today we've got 4,300,000 people on antiretrovirals whose lives we have saved as a government and as a nation. And our target is to go to 7 million, because there are 7 million South Africans who have become infected with the HIV virus. And we want to reach that. And that is why we're now rolling out a big campaign of testing so that people who are found to be positive must know that it is not a death sentence. You can get help, and the sooner you go and get help, the better. And that is a caring government. That is a government that shows that sinagegela umphakathi. And we listen to the concerns and the views of our people, and we respond. Where we don't have resources, we do say we don't have enough resources, we will do so much and we will go so far. And we know that many of our people still need houses. We know that. Many of our people need jobs. We know that. Many of our people still need a lot of things to make their life a lot better. The good thing, Uguti, we now have a government that seeks to listen to our people. But we also have a government that looks at itself. That looks at itself and says, La siyaphazama. La, we are making a mistake. A government that says, yes, some of the things that we have been doing have not achieved the ends that we wanted. We also have a government that says, there are some amongst us who have wasted the government's resources. There are some amongst us who have adopted corrupt ways of working, and we are dealing with that. We are dealing with that with a view of making sure that we do indeed deliver a better life to all the people of our country. The problems and the challenges that we have as a nation are being addressed on a continuous basis. And we are determined that we will give South Africans a better life. This time round, many of our people feel that, yes, there is a sense of hope, there is a new spirit in the country. Abantu abaningi benfika khona manje nge-aeroplane lapha mangena nje in this commercial flight, but uPresident Thuma Mina ufikile kule plane yethu. So sithi manje, this is the time of Thuma Mina. Sifikile isikhathi sokuthi sisonke sithunywa umphakathi wala eSouth Africa. This is the time when we should be sent, when we should be saying, where do you want to send me? Where do you want me to do something for someone? Now, we are now going through this year when we remember uTata uNelson Mandela, noMama uAlbertina Sisulu. This is the time when we remember them.
All right, we apologize for that break in transmission there. We'll try to take you as soon as possible back to KwaZulu-Natal, where President Cyril Ramaphosa is taking the Thuma Mina campaign. And of course, this is a troubled province, and he's bringing a message of hope. I don't know about you, but it seems like he really wants to reiterate the positive, because there's been a lot of perhaps poor economic data. A lot of people saying that euphoria about the political change sort of dying down a little bit, but he's really pushing, saying this is a new time, a time of Thuma Mina.
Absolutely, because we know that Thuma Mina is the ANC's campaign. So really the president speaking and saying that under the new regime of the government, they are dealing with corruption to make a better life for all South Africans. So he was really trying to get that positive note through, praising the efforts made against fighting HIV and AIDS, speaking about creating jobs. So he is at the Pentecostal Church in Impangeni, and he will continue throughout the weekend to traverse KwaZulu-Natal, taking that ANC Thuma Mina campaign to the people. And of course, this visit comes hot on the heels of that heated land imbizo in Ulundi, which was, of course, attended by thousands to listen to King Goodwill Zwelithini, who was, of course, scathing in his address, vowing to protect land administered by the Ngonyama Trust. So really, President Ramaphosa, I think, is going to have quite a busy weekend, seeing to the Thuma Mina campaign, especially on the back of the controversial land issue that's being dealt with at the moment.
And he is expected to meet the Zulu King. So yes, this is important. Government has a problem on its hands, perhaps an upping of the ante in KwaZulu-Natal. Traditional leaders again saying that they're willing to fight over the issue of land. They're not going to give up the Ngonyama Trust. Remember, the king is basically the trustee, the caretaker of this land, accounting for 13% of the country, a huge swath of rural land in KwaZulu-Natal. Concerns raised about the people on the land being forced to pay rents or being forced to move off that land for third-party agreements made between traditional leaders and these third parties. So the ANC really not taking a side yet, because remember, the former president Kgalema Motlanthe has said that the land should be given to the people. There should be secure tenure there, and the Ngonyama Trust itself should be dissolved. So this is a real hot potato that the president will have to deal with this weekend. Okay, we can't take you back to KwaZulu-Natal right now. He's speaking at the Pentecostal Church in Impangeni. We take a short break and then we'll see if we can take you live to that province once more.